This podcast contains spoilers for the endings of Watchmen the TV series, Steven Universe Future, and several other things. If you want to enter spoiler-free, skip to 14 minutes.
Somewhat motivated by the idea that if we can give the audience an ending that causes some sort of confusion and discussion, we're gonna boost views. It's like a
sure.
And to me, it's weird. I have split feelings about it because I think the thing that gets me is because with that comes the idea that when you get closer to it, you know they're gonna do it. I'm watching the end of Watchmen. She's walking to the pool, and I went, they're not.
They're not gonna show me.
You can't.
She got there that they weren't gonna show her actually stepping on the pool.
Absolutely.
But here I am watching, being like, seriously, are they really about? Are they gonna do this? They're gonna do it. Will they show? They didn't show it. Okay.
And the thing that I've listened after I watched that show, I did what everyone did, and I'm like, how many places can I find where Damon is talking about this show? Like, I need to just read more about this. And he did not consider that a cliffhanger. Like, he was like, this is the conclusive end to my show, and it wasn't until he showed it to someone else that they were like, dude, what the fuck? Like, dude, what the fuck? You're not gonna end it? And he's like, what? That's the ending. And then he's like, no, it isn't. so to me, my boy Damon did not consider the fact that he was leaving people on the hook. He's like, no, that's
I don't buy that for
point.
A second. I don't buy that.
I believe
for a second.
Damon Lindelof is a lot of things. He is earnest. He has never lied to me. I believe
false.
every word that comes out of his mouth.
I don't know. I mean, they literally down to the flashback, like dialogue flashback that they have playing over this silent moment where she asks, so if someone eats, blah, blah, blah.
The egg, yeah.
Your powers? And he goes, in theory, yes. Which is yet another thing saying, maybe.
No,
likely.
See, I read that line, that dialogue reading from the incredible actor who's playing Dr. Manhattan. He's not saying that it can't happen. He's Dr. Manhattan. He can make a burrito so hot he can't eat it, or whatever the fuck. It's
everybody can do that, Kevin.
It's that he's but can God cook a burrito so hot he himself cannot eat it? I read it as he is intrigued. Like, he already knows that he's gonna fall in love with this woman. He's experiencing past, present, and future all at the same fucking time. But he's like, that's an interesting idea. I haven't seen that part of my life yet. That's a very clever thing that I can put in there. So to me, there's no doubt in the entire world, this one surviving egg and a carton of eggs smashed to the floor.
So there's no way an egg survived.
So
right, there's no doubt in my head that she is.
So he acknowledges that it's in theory from a purely scientific perspective, because in his mind it's only in theory because it's one of the few things he actually hasn't seen actually happen.
He's being
even
cheeky.
Though he knows
he's being
cheeky more than that. It's like
he's flirting with this woman. He's being like.
I think he knows fully well that it will work.
Right, and
but
so
he doesn't want to come across cocky like an asshole. So he's like, in theory, yeah.
He can do anything. He pulled it off. There's only one surviving egg. Like, it's the only thing that makes sense. Again, like Inception, like we were talking about before, it's this thematic, like, you are taking your first step into a new, larger world. And if she turns blue in the last, 2 seconds of Watchmen, is that better than her taking the first step?
Blue. I think turning blue would have been a bad... By the way, this must be the most spoiler-filled beginning of an episode we have ever read.
Yeah, well, I'll decide whether... I don't know, this show's been out for a minute.
Yeah, that's true. I just finished it yesterday, so who knows?
That's fair.
We're 6 months into quarantine. If you wanted to watch it, you would have gotten
it was free for an entire weekend.
Because my ass is always the last to the playground.
Homie, believe me, I do not mean what I said at all. Because there's shit I still haven't watched. But it was a funny thing to say.
I wouldn't have wanted to see her turn blue. I think we've already established that it's possible. We've seen firsthand that he exists perfectly in a realm where he doesn't exist as a blue person. Like, he has control over the way he's perceived. There's just like a lack of giving a shit, so to speak, in the original graphic novel until it becomes something he wants to do. A whole different discussion.
It's the
idea
exact,
I would have wanted to see. Yeah, it's like you look at the water underneath her foot, and there's like, I'm pretty sure there was some sort of.
Oh, you're doing the end of Inception, like everyone in 2010 when they got the home video. They're like winding it back. It's like, does the top jiggle at the end? Like, you're doing the frame by frame.
It looked like there was, I don't know, something looked off about it. Even before her foot was even like that close to the water, it looked like it was implying that there was some sort of matter sort of manipulation happening. I would have just wanted, I don't know. I don't know.
I understand. I get it. You know, because it's also the moment that's like following up exactly on an earlier conversation between her and her husband where he's walking on the pool. And then it for me, again, there's no question about whether or not she absorbs his power, whether or not she turns blue. You know, that might be his deal. But like, whether or not she gets these godly powers, we get to see her first step into a larger world without some blue CGI. Although I don't have to see what blue Regina King looks like. That she, like, at the end of a show that has been absolutely about, like, black pain and black love, that she, at the end, is still in her black skin and hasn't transformed into a blue lady, for me, feels very intentional. That feels like, for a show that, like, introduced a lot of white people to the Tulsa massacre and
the
all these other
Black Wall Street,
all these other ideas, that feels incredibly intentional. That feels exceptionally intentional.
I mean, look, I'm saying this just as like very much just like playing with it, because in all reality, like watching that last episode, it was just like they tied it up so expertly.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or when something's tied up perfectly, does it also make you like simultaneously really sad that while it's happening? Yeah, like it's happening, you're like, no, don't.
my great maybe I'm just getting fucking old. And there's this Mark Maron quote, because he like he made a lot of people angry on Twitter for like dissing the Marvel movies, and like literally who cares what Mark Maron thinks of them. But he went on a talk show and the host brought it up, and they were like, people were mad at you. And he's like, I'm old. I like to go to movies I've never heard of. I like to not understand the ending. Like, that's where I'm at. And I've been watching some, to tie it slightly into the subject of this show, I've been watching some Community Season 5 and Season 6, and there's these messy ways that those episodes end. Like, intentionally like a Dungeons & Dragons game does not fix the broken relationship between a father and a son.
No,
but it can
that episode
give
does not
them,
resolve at all.
But it gives them common ground. Suddenly, they're in the same room together, and they're doing something together, and they're arguing the entire time. Yeah. But that is like, maybe I'm just, again, I'm old. There's gray in my beard now, and
that's
so
not
like
even a little true, Kevin.
I think
right
it's
here.
The argument.
It's right.
Of,
it's in my beard temple.
I think just to distill it even a little further, it's the realization that life isn't as easy as it's finished. It's gonna be, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like when a show wraps up and it's like, well, what next? I'm not like, that's dumb. I'm like, that's life, and I just get over it.
Yeah, I think there's things that come. Yeah, go ahead.
It's honestly, this is my worst take of all time, but I do not like the ending of Breaking Bad because it's too neat. It's too like, the last foe that must be overcome is Uncle Jack, and then like he dies, and everyone like it's too conclusively ended. I like. Oh yeah, that fucking 100 years ago. It's too tidy, and I've never been tempted to like go back and rewatch Breaking Bad because I'm like, it all wrapped up nicely. Like there's no urge for me to keep diving through this because now I feel like I've seen everything. If it ends slightly more inconclusively, it's kind of like what you were talking about, like driving up clicks. But I'm like, oh, this wonky ending makes me want to explore more. This lack of resolution tells my brain there's still more to find here.
Yeah,
it takes kind of that weight off of an ending. I think, like, you know, especially for us, like, nerds, right? Who, like,
big dorks, big fucking dorks,
who, like, you know, venture into writing ourselves, at least in some manner, or whatever, what have you, and such, etc. Like, when it comes down to an ending, there's something that, like, it's almost been mythologized in writing circles of, like, but how are you gonna end it? And it's like, who fucking cares? Focus on the story. And I'm thinking about, like in Community, we could talk about the Ass Crack Bandit episode, right? Like, where we don't get a fucking answer. We don't.
Yeah.
We don't get it. And it's kind of pleasing that way, because then you're just like, it's an episode. The focus of the episode is like, this is a mystery episode. And the entire episode is a mystery. And that's kind of the point. The best ending that fits into this, like, what happens next, for me, is one that doesn't happen in a what happens next because it's like, there's an ambiguous ending. It's a very clean-cut ending, but it's very clearly like this, like, it's an end, but it's not the end of the story, is the end of Steven Universe Future. So you go through all of Steven Universe. Caleb, have you seen it?
No.
Oh, man, watch it.
Neither of us have, but continue.
No, you go through Steven Universe. It's amazing, and it comes to this amazing, like, it really wraps up in this beautiful, fabulous way, but it also, in a way where you're presented with it's like, it's a new reality. And the first thing you do when you come to that ending is you're like, I want to explore this new reality, where it's a new era that it ends with. And then they made the Steven Universe movie, which is, here we are in the future, is like the theme that they say through. And it's in the future, and it kind of reestablishes what this new realm is and introduces a new character. And it's clean cut. It's a pretty solid ending, but it also acts as a bridge to a mini-series that they released after called Steven Universe Future, which used the main theme from the Steven Universe movie musical as the theme song for the mini-series. And when you get to the mini-series, the very ending fully is just like, it's got this massive thing that happens, but then after that, it's like, okay, and then we move on with our lives. There's this, like, literally, I'm not going to spoil it strictly because I know you two haven't seen it, so it's not even worth it. But, like, there's this thing, and they do it in such a way where there's a callback that you've been watching for several episodes in a row and didn't even realize what it was until you get to the last episode. It's expertly achieved, but it says exactly the thing that's so exciting, what Caleb said. It doesn't go, that's the end. It goes, yeah, okay, and then other stuff happens, but, like...
Right. The implication that after we stop seeing these characters or reading these characters, they will still continue to have adventures and live lives. We've resolved this thing, but we are still allowed to continue on. Hold on, just one.
When an ending is also a beginning, and not in the sense of like when it really kind of wraps it up in that way, and not in the sense of like, we baked this in so we could make a sequel. It's like fully like, scratch that. That's just garbage. Like, I hate watching a movie and being like, oh, they left that ambiguous just because they were like, if this does well in box office, we'll make another one. I hate that. I fucking hate it. But if they make an ending that's like, look, it's very clearly like it ends and then it moves on, and then that's the end of the piece of media, it feels like a beginning. And that, in a sense, is the thing that makes you walk out of a theater. Remember those things? Walk out of a theater and then just be like, wow, like, what's next for me? You know? It's the thing that makes you go, fuck yeah, that was sick.
Oh, man. Yeah, hold on. I'm going to do one thing just real quick. This podcast contains spoilers for the endings of Watchmen the TV series, Steven Universe Future, and several other things. If you want to enter spoiler-free, skip to 14 minutes. There. Now we're clear. Now we're good. Now we're safe. Now we're free. We're in the open. Here we go, baby. This is, of course, Advanced Community Studies, a podcast where we watch and rank Community 1 or 2 episodes at a time. I am one of your hosts, TV's Kevin Lanigan, and Hector the Well-Endowed, Abed.
What's up? My name's Jace. I use they, them pronouns, but for this episode, you may call me Jace the Obtuse.
Perfect. I'm the daddy host, the third one. My friends call me Caleb, but for this episode, you can call me Brutalitops. Because it seems like the most appropriate role for me to take.
Pointed. And we will, of course, for the third time, eventually dive into these modes of controversy. It has, perhaps I sealed our fate when I made the D&D theme our theme for this podcast, like our opening intro to every episode. That perhaps I was locking us into this eventual fate of
I didn't
being
realize
known.
That's what it was until way too recently. Is that I feel ashamed to admit that I didn't. I was like, that's a cool version of the theme song, and I just did not. Right, exactly. Oh, man. No, but in all seriousness, watching this episode again in the bowels of the internet, because it doesn't exist on main streaming services anymore, it just, with the lens of having talked about the racial dynamics of the big ones in this episode and the show as a whole, you start to notice that there's a few racial moments in this episode, and you go, huh.
Just a brief pin and discussion of this excellent episode of Community, and just a little social media catch up. Thank you all again for listening to our interview with Neil Goldman last week. He was excellent, and he shared so many really cool stories and really cool theories of his own. He told us about Subway's butt. It was very informative. So thank you all for letting us jump off track just a little bit to have a discussion with Neil. That was super, super cool. I'm starting to reach out to vaguely community-related people semi-regularly just to see who responds back. And Neil was the first one too, and he was so, so cool. So we thank him for that. In Twitter news, we just passed 1,000 followers. Thank you, everyone. That's double my personal account. That's just absolutely blowing all of my other shit out of the water. So thank you. And also thank you to all the people who for some reason were interested in my community characters as X-Men make a thread.
Hold up. Kevin, that was so good.
Oh, thank you. I thought for sure one person would be interested in that, and it was me. I thought for sure.
What? Who was it that was Beak? The fact that you included Beak at all had me on my ass. This
Beak is the man.
X-Men reference book that I didn't know I needed in my life.
I've taken the two things that I've thought about most my entire life, and I've combined them into a mega thread, and that thread put me in touch with one of my favorite podcasters, put me in touch with one of the creators of my favorite contemporary comic. That was not what I expected when I made the dorkiest thing I've ever made in my entire life.
It's because it was so clearly full of passion and so well thought out.
Right.
And just also deep cuts. I'm just now entering my X-Men journey far too late in my life. I recognized a bunch of them, and there were still ones that I was like, who the fuck is that? Multiple Man? What?
Oh, Multiple Man is one of my favorites. Jace, I will later introduce you to Multiple Man, and it will be my pleasure.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I tried to. I wasn't necessarily dodging around the A-team members because Wolverine ended up in there and Storm and a lot of the classics. But I was I don't know. No one is Cyclops, so I'm not gonna use Cyclops. No one is Ilyana Rasputin, aka Magic, so I'm not going to use them. Unfortunately, real Neil with Pipes of Steel is Brew, the mutant child of the Brood, and I'm afraid that's just what he is. So I must honor...
Which one was Dean again?
Dean was Multiple Man.
That's right.
The limits of who he can be at any time are really based on his own imagination.
It's bad.
Abed took a long time to think of, but Abed is Rogue. Don't worry, when I finish this book about Community myself and some others are working on, there's going to be a whole way too long chapter about just this. So because I'm editing the book, I can put in there whatever I please.
You're just going to put it in and nobody can say shit.
No one can say a goddamn thing.
I love that. I do expect, Kevin, when the book comes out, for there to be an extended appendice beyond what you put on Twitter to include any minor character ever and give them a
Absolutely. there are a couple community characters that I'm still like gestating on. I'm like, I haven't quite nailed down who this person is.
Yeah.
But don't worry, by the time this book is published, which you both are obviously welcome to contribute to, that I have just finished a draft of a fucking 6,200 word essay about Britta to go inside of it. I finished the draft, some revisions, but by the time you're listening to this, it will be out for public consumption.
Wow.
Most likely at tvskevin.substack.com. Don't worry, I'll plug it at the end as well.
I'd like to say I'm both honored and shocked that you think I have anything worth contributing to a book.
I think you absolutely do. You would just have to... It would just have to be your piece. Whatever would drive you to write. If you want to write the definitive take on Troy and Abed, then
I could do a Troy and Abed. I think the other one I would take some coaxing, some pushing into it.
I thought you were just about to say you were going to take some coke. I was like, hold on.
I'm going to take some coke and I'm going to write this essay in a day.
Caleb,
just stay up all day.
Hey man, I'm not yucking out anybody's yums.
Oh my goodness! I was trying to say if someone really wanted me to, I would put in the effort to do an entire gendered analysis of the seasons of Community.
Ooh,
and
that's very good.
Dynamics. That could be pretty fun. I don't know if I would be well equipped enough to do that. I would probably want to get my Avengers of trans folks together, which I have. Trust me, I do.
Which that is something I would read.
That's the movie I want. Marvel. Cast me as your first non-binary superhero. I will put my damn foot in it. I will eat that shit. This episode, of course, was brought to you by Marvel Unlimited.
The ultimate source. If you want to find out who half of the X-Men I mentioned are, Marvel Unlimited. $5 a month for basically every Marvel comic ever made.
Banana.
If you're
I cannot begin to tell you how much I don't sleep because this app exists.
Yes,
this is why I don't have the app.
Makes sense.
This is why,
Makes sense.
Let me be completely honest. This show is sponsored by Disney because all we talk about Star Wars and Marvel.
Yeah, that is. Someday, Caleb, you and I are just going to take over this show and talk a bunch of Witcher bullshit. So, Jace, whenever you feel like being alienated,
hold on. Speaking of Witcher, hold on. Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes.
Daddy.
I want to take him home.
Oh, I want to show him to my parents.
Hot. But also,
I was like, wait, what's happening?
But also, at the other end, I was like, why didn't they just do a gender bent version? Why did they have to retcon in a little sister? Like, why couldn't they just make Millie Bobby Brown a gender flip
Sherlock Holmes?
Sherlock Holmes. I should
make her Shirley Holmes.
Literally,
gross.
Gross. Thank you, Kevin.
Gross. Just call her Sherlock. Is Sherlock a gendered name?
It's not.
I've only known one being named Sherlock. That doesn't mean it's a boy's only name.
That's true. That's true. I think, but it's very clear the reason why they made her the younger sister, and that's so that we could get Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes.
And listen, I ain't mad. Not mad about it.
I'm also. I think the thing that it's interesting that you two are both like, I'm up. Yeah. Well, okay. You two are very excited about Henry Cavill. I'm mostly excited for Helena Bonham Carter.
Of course.
Well, don't get me wrong. Straight me is excited about Helena Bonham Carter, and like curious me is like, yo, but Henry Cavill though.
Hello, darling.
Hello there.
Sounds excellent. Sounds good. So let's dive in, shall we?
Community. No, we love bad non sequitur, right?
Checks out. We are discussing one of the granddaddies of them all, season 2, episode 14, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, directed by Joe Russo, written by Andrew Guest. After learning one of their fellow students, Neil, is thinking about killing himself, the study group throw a D&D game that takes place in the theater of the mind, and Pierce does what he does best and crashes that bad boy. Holy shit. I just watched this episode for like the 1,000th time yesterday. what a fucking episode of TV.
No, it's got some of the best writing out of any episode. Like, I know we're not there yet. It's so fascinating, justifying in my mind, like, the controversy around this episode with the fact that this might be my number one.
Right. Like, of all the episodes. It's so fucking good. It's emotional. It's hysterical. It's so well directed. The sound design.
The sound design. Out of anything I've ever seen ever. Like, there's also just, like, really some of the best lines too. Like, if we're talking about, first of all, the narration,
incredible. That Kate Blanchett sound alike they got.
And then acknowledging that they're walking and then walking some more, and then also just like little moments where they not once ever say the word suicide, which is incredible. And there's so many when you go in looking at it through explicitly expecting that lens, right? You start to notice very subtle things. Like at the end, Neil says when he says, like, do you want to play the game next week, right? And then Pierce says, maybe. He says, all right, I'll be around. I will be around. Like, there's really tiny, smart decisions in that. And then, of course, there's one of my favorite meta moments in the whole series is the most subtle, and it's like an internally meta moment where, like, you see all of them all of a sudden. There's like a sound effect of like a chill going in the room, right? Which is very
as Pierce walks in.
But then all of the characters catch a chill, and the thing is,
it doesn't make any sense in reality. It does not make any sense in reality.
Eat it up because it's perfect. Oh,
I mean, this episode of our podcast could be 45 hours long if we just talk about everything in this episode.
Welcome to the Community Advanced D&D Studies podcast.
Right.
Where we just talk about this episode.
I could do 5 episodes about this episode. Like,
we're on number 3 already, and we've gone cross-platform.
Right, exactly. We've jumped feeds to talk about this. 2
separate podcasts outside of ours talking about Community and referencing back to this, where we talked explicitly about this episode.
Yeah.
Yo, was Troy's character... Did Abed name Troy's character Hector because of the Iliad?
Explain yourself.
Homer's Iliad, Troy, they steal Helen, the Trojan War. The greatest hero of Troy's name was Hector.
Damn. Yeah, Eric Bana. Yeah. Yeah.
So Troy being Hector the Well-Endowed, was that like them specifically
it's
going
a cute
Hector
little thing.
And Troy?
We should ask someone. Kevin, do you know any writers from the
yeah, let me just get somebody on the horn. Let me see if I can get guests. I do want to get Andy Bobrow, who wrote Mixology Certification. I would like to see if he is available, because I want to talk about that episode. There's so many... I mean, if we're just talking about smart naming decisions, having Pierce play a character named Pierce Hawthorne at first is a joke, because he's being stubborn. He doesn't want to come up with a silly character name. Abed on the fly calls him a naked old man named Pierce Hawthorne. But it all coalesces perfectly at the end, where they can say, I pity Pierce Hawthorne. And it works on both, strat levels. Mm-hmm. And so they can be in character and say that is such an excellent moment. And it would have probably been fine if they had named him like Tiny Nuggins or whatever. Like, that's fine. Right. But it being Pierce and having Neil first sit in Pierce's chair because Pierce is not there, but Pierce is so obsessed with everyone's positions at the table that would drive him wild more than anything, is Neil sitting in his chair specifically.
It also forces beautiful, really exciting, like shot choice, right? To put Neil between Britta and
Jeff, and then you can have these great 2 shots of all of them. Well, 3 shots, but you get what I'm saying.
But also putting him at the corner of a table forces this kind of optical trick that makes him it's all things lead to him.
The table is pointing at Neil.
Yeah, he's the point now.
Throne. They've created a throne for him. It elevates him.
We call it leading lines in the cinematography.
Whatever.
The lines that tell you. I'm just helping. I'm informing. It supports what you're saying.
I'm trying to help you out, and you're like, fine, fucking nerd.
Fuck you, filmmaker, dickhead.
No, but that's exactly it. It is those lead lines. And they really do some magical stuff for it. The other thing, I mean, that's the thing that's so exciting about this episode is the fact that there's so many ways that they structurally elevate the story, whether it's visually or even one of my things watching it this most recent go about was how they've got the moment with the dragon, right? It is clearly the climax of the D&D game, right? The climax of the episode follows immediately after it, and it's got this very cinematic. You after that the dragon, like that moment, right? It's like there's new air about it, and the shots are much closer to their faces. We're in the game, even though they're talking about something outside of the game, and it's this magical mindfuck of an Inside Out moment. But then it's when Pierce goes, as Pierce Hawthorne, both the character and the person. Excuse me, I get hiccups when I'm excited. What is that? literally goes and says, "Jeff is the reason why you have this name." And it's this heart-wrenching moment because it's the moment in every good movie where you start to realize that maybe the hero isn't who you thought he was.
It's very good.
It's a massive moment, and just the framing of it, both contextually and structurally. This episode is
it's incredible.
It's an advanced episode.
The Jeff moment is a perfect twist. And it's exactly what a twist should be. It not only is like a whoa moment, it recolors everything that has come previously.
Everything. Mm-hmm.
Everything. It recolors the last 3 fucking episodes of Community, where John Oliver says, like, "Hello, Fat Neil," not from an actuarial standpoint, and you're like, fuck me, that is paying off 3 episodes later on a fucking sitcom about a community college.
The other thing that's really cool upon watching it also is when they bring that moment up, they play a shot back, like a shot they've already used. Mm-hmm. But it's this moment where you see, in the first time you see it, right, they only show the shot from Neil, and you see in the background, and you're not.
And the voice is modulated from Neil.
Right, but like all the way in the back, if you're looking for it, you see the back of a black coat kind of moving off to the side, nowhere near the focal point. And if you're looking for it, you can actually sort of see Jeff standing there. But when they play it back, you see Jeff standing there before he turns to walk away, and it's this beautiful flashback moment. That's just, I mean, it's. I'm repeating myself because like at a certain point it's like, what else is there to say? Well, there's actually a lot else to say. This episode is complicated. Wow.
Fucking good episode.
Can I point out just how fucking great it is to see Pierce given the ability to just actually fucking be a villain?
How?
Because when he casts the spell that changes the shape of Neil's character, and he's like, Abed's in the middle of saying what shape, and he's like, fat. Like, it's so evil. It's so.
In that moment is like, when I watch villains, there's usually a moment where you're like, damn, like there's like that element. They're like, you got to bake in some sympathy for the villain, right?
Yeah.
And they've got in the structural sympathy for him is that like he's like, I felt left out, but he is genuinely speaking and I don't. This is not an exaggeration.
Right.
I hate him more than I hate any villain ever.
It's pretty bad. Like
any piece of media.
He doesn't kill Neil's family. He does, hump his sword, but he doesn't like kill Neil's family. But this hurts so much more than every lazy "I've kidnapped your wife" villain in every movie. This is better than any fucking Star Wars villain. Like it's so fucking personal and direct. We don't love him on this show, but my god, how good is Chevy Chase in this episode? He's on another fucking level. And so is Danny. Danny Pudi's incredible in this episode. The sex scene, when he's playing the elf maiden, when he's playing the gnome waiter,
I actually focused a lot on trying to lip read what was being said during that scene. And there's
four fingers.
She goes, I cup the right breast and then the left breast. There's one moment where she says, I take out my massive member.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a fucking Austin Powers bit. Like,
I mean, they're very clearly like, you know what they are gesturally, but like if you watch her mouth, it's fabulous. Also, Troy.
It's also
Troy taking notes. Fucking incredible.
I spoon her.
How long is that?
Time, and then I move on. And how long is that exactly?
Incredible. It's also, it's like those times where you're watching something and it's funnier when the curse words are bleeped, like in fucking like Happy Gilmore. It's way funnier that Lord of the Rings music is playing over them describing this sex scene than it ever would have been if they were actually doing it. That probably would have been okay, but this just ascends it.
This specific moment is also why I argue that Troy and Annie are the ones that get together. Because this is not the first, not the second, but I think the third time that Troy has, without the provocation of Britta and Jeff, been very clearly attracted to what Annie is doing. Just a few episodes ago in the Pen episode, when they start undressing, he's like, what's happening and how can I help? Yeah.
It's all right there. It's beautiful. Also, I want to shout out before I forget how far Joel McHale has come as like a dramatic actor over the course of this show. If you compare this to like episode 4 where Britta's dating Vaughn and he's like sad, he's ascended so much higher and is so into this character that when he's out in the hallway and he's having that like funny repartee with Chevy, is like, I don't like being excluded, Jeff. Yes! But he's also selling every dramatic beat on top of making them comedic. He's taken it so far from where he was. It's really impressive to like watch his growth.
It's an example of how like the best comedic acting is good dramatic acting. Just cranked up just a touch. Like it's
right.
There's something really endearing about these performances in a really complicated setting. I think also I want to go back just a second because I can't stop thinking about this. Pierce being such an evil villain by doing very simple things really leans into one of the themes of the episode of how like words fucking hurt, right? Like this whole thing is about like this is like even the idea of Dungeons and Dragons. This is all make-believe. These are just words. People are just saying things. They're not actually using swords. They're not actually flying arrows. But words hurt. And that's like this beautiful theme that's really kind of like, it's sneaky. It's hiding the whole episode. But it's really there. And the fact that you hate Pierce so much. Sorry. The fact that I hate Pierce so much in this episode is just, goes to show just like how much words fucking hurt, and that's the whole point of it, and it's really expertly pulled off. And it's
I have another question that might melt brains.
When you do this, Caleb, hit
it. So I've been a DM playing D&D for a couple of years now. There is a rule specifically against players using player knowledge, which is they've read through the book and know the end of the story. They can't use that against you or the players. And Pierce does that, and Abed doesn't stop him. He lets it happen. So how much of this episode is Abed knowing that he has to let Pierce do this so the rest of the group actually comes together to help Neil?
As a storyteller,
because if he controlled it wouldn't have worked.
To build to the dramatic moment. Like, what we were doing with, like, babying Neil was not helping him. What he needed was to, like, go on an adventure, quote unquote. Like, he needed to feel a reason to live.
Or more than that, like, the group needed to see what Neil goes through firsthand.
I think...
And he knew that Pierce would do that.
I think on a simpler level, Abed was in a room alone with Pierce, and he knew that if he said to Pierce, "You can't do that," he would not.
Like, I think it can work on both levels. I think it's
a room with Pierce, and Pierce says, "You know this really, really esoteric moment that's actually an integral part of this game that I wouldn't know unless I've read the book." If Abed said, "Yes, but you're not supposed to know that, so you can't do that," it wouldn't have ended well for anybody. It's like, you know, also, the best answer I can give you, and this is the worst answer, and I'm almost afraid to say this, is it's because it fucking needed to happen. And the writers were like, let's just let it happen.
Right.
See, this is why it's easy to tell that Jace really hates endings that leave it up to you.
And let me just say that's perfectly fine. Like it's just a matter of like taste, you know?
Because it's a show and they needed a bad guy.
because Pierce needed to know about the amulet in the Amberg River Basin, so like he had Garrett bring him some books.
Jokingly, I do actually like exploring the idea of what.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% fucking with you.
Right. But I think it is worth saying, you know, and like, yes, like we were talking about earlier, I do a lot of the time fucking hate endings where they're like, you decide. At the same time, it's like, look, I do respect them. There's part of me that goes, as a writer, I just don't know whether or not you meant it as like, you really thought about it and it came to you. Like, part of me just thinks, at one hand, it's like, oh, okay, when you wrote your first draft, you wrote that ending and you were like, I mean, good enough, right? Keep it. As opposed to like coming to that ending. So like, I mean, I know that it's not fair to the genius that are these writers of all these incredible series, but I can't help but think that, you know, like I literally, when I wrote the show that I'm working on most currently, I had 2 endings and I was like, I don't know which one it is, you know, and I ended up going with one. Actually, now that I think about it, my show ends with an ending that forces the audience to decide what happened.
Uh-oh, you've become the monster. You've become what you sought to destroy. Anakin, you're going down a path I can't follow.
Jace has suddenly become Professorson and didn't even know it. I love Abed's terrible character names this episode, too.
All good.
Shirley's a dwarf named Zippity-Doo.
Zippity-Doo. I'm Bing Bong, the archer. I'm an archer.
Troy's Bing Bong. Bing Bong sing along, like that's fucking funny. Also, Jeff being like, "I am Mar." Boy, you ain't kidding.
Yeah. It's incredible. One of my, and this is another episode where everyone gets.
Later, he calls himself. My name is Kyle.
My name is Kyle. Speaking of that,
speaks gnome, and his name is Kyle.
I speak gnome. Lavernica does. That is, you actually segued to one of my favorite plots of the episode, which is Britta and this fucking gnome waiter is such a good character moment. They do it when Brutalitops dies, but they also do it when Kyle dies. There's a fucking eagle sound effect when the soul leaves the body. It's the funniest fucking thing every time. I know that, like, okay, we have to segue to it eventually, but when Chang is dead and he just fades away. Oh, it's fucking beautiful.
Soundtrack. I know we talked about it on, I think it was 6 Seasons in a podcast where we mentioned the soundtrack of him standing up and walking away.
These are all, I think, Ludwig Göransson originals, but they are incredible.
But there's that moment, like, it feels like they, for some reason, and this is the first of a few, not the first, it's actually the second of a few very specific racial moments in this episode that we do need to talk about, that, like, where he gets up and there's this, I don't know the language, I'm not even going to attempt it, some East Asian language that's being sung as like
this.
Right.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And
it sounds like Elvish. That was my all right, let me see if the Elvish, internet has Advanced D&D Chang Death song lyrics. I'm taking a fucking shot in the Google Dark here. Okay, everyone, shut up! I'm watching a YouTube video.
Thinking of when Britta gets hit by an arrow. She goes, ow! And Abe goes, yeah, it hurts.
It was not explicitly helpful. It's difficult to tell when something is sung in a breathy, airy voice, whether it is a language I don't know or a made-up one. So it is... I am scrolling through the comments to try and see if this happens to be...
Did they do something similar to that also in one of the paintball episodes? Like
when he enters in Modern Warfare, they are playing a song with Chinese lyrics.
That's a John Woo reference, 100%.
Yeah, it
feels very similar. Maybe this is just me being racist, but like that's what that moment was. Like I thought it was funny, but I was also like, why did they make this choice? And I just thought maybe it was a reference back to Chang being Chang.
Yeah. Like, I found the fucking translated Chinese lyrics for the paintball song. I have yet to find whether or not this is a real language or if someone borrowed some like Klingon from the online Star Trek dictionary. At one point, I was teaching you Klingon, so it all fits, it all works. Oh God, I found a list of the 100 best musical moments on Community, so we can't make this work.
We can't do this.
Now, but not right now.
Well, maybe someone has the answer, but I don't know.
In the comments.
Yeah, let us know. Write us a 5-star review and tell us in that review if it's Chinese or Elvish, and you just write one word, Chinese, or you write one word, Elvish. That's very funny.
If we're gonna get multiple people, this is gonna start like a Twitter war. I can feel it. Just like Chinese.
All right, I will post a poll with this episode, just like I did for is Rich a murderer or a good doctor, and most people say murderer.
And it's because he is, so.
Yeah, exactly, because he's a crazy murderer and also the ass crack bandit. Shall we talk? This seems like a good segue into the element that we've discussed on this show, on 6 Seasons in a Podcast, the quote-unquote Chang blackface moment. And it is very brief. He is in the very beginning of the episode and then disappears. I don't want to just relitigate the same points that we've relitigated now for the third time.
We do also have to acknowledge it doesn't just stop at he's wearing black makeup all over his body. One, clearly intentional, to be a reference to it, which I have something to I'll go back. Reminds me of a point that I will get back to. But they're using explicitly the black grease paint that is very referential. It is an allusion, regardless of intent or execution. It is an allusion to blackface, and we must acknowledge it as that. But it's one of those things. I talked about this when I was on Is It Transphobic, which I don't know when that episode's coming out, but we talked about the use of the T slur, which I will not be using, at the end of season 1, and how while it's still that use of that slur. Whenever they use it, it's not used to mean transgender person. It's used to mean transfer student. So the butt of the joke isn't trans people, just like the butt of the joke isn't blackface. It's the medium that's told that it's actually the joke is this means something different. It's like a treachery of images type deal. It's like, is this blackface? No, it's actually he's a drow. So while it's yes, the punchline isn't blackface, you still can't deny that the role blackface plays in why that joke, quote unquote, works. So you can't remove it from the picture, right? But it's also, it does bring up fascinating question. It's like, at what level does intent not matter? And quite frankly, I think most of the time intent only goes so far.
I don't know, man. This episode being pulled angering even maybe to me, not just confusing. I don't know. Like, you can look up the definition of blackface and you can look up uses of blackface. And for a thing to be blackface, it needs to be several things. This is absolutely not. And so that's aggravating that someone saw this and went, oh, we should pull this. It feels like someone being too woke for their own britches a little bit. Just being like, this must be bad. And yanking it off. Right. That was a bad series of words I just put next to that. But
to quote an earlier episode of Community, not being racist is the new racist. I know we've used the Trevor Noah quote
that's the thing I use
now.
The most. I tried to steer away from. Thank you for doing
that's okay. We're again citing our previous sources. I'm not going to drop our bonus episode about this topic right in here.
Sure. But it comes to me in different waves of is there another way of putting black makeup on somebody that's more efficient than grease paint? If the answer to that question is no, then grease paint might have been the best way to do it. Also, it's not. I'm just so beaten up about just thinking about this episode that it just kind of drags at this point. It's just
yeah. There's also the thing that I picked up on this watch through was also there's a really great point Jeff makes where he says, I'm a drow, I'm a dark elf. He goes, then why aren't you wearing
armor?
Armor. Yeah. And he goes, what do you say? I'm an elf, not a nerd, or something.
Right, which is such a stupid,
line,
silly.
But it also does bring up the point that he did the pointy ears and all black paint, and it lies
the white hair.
Very explicitly lies in a realm of fuck if I know. It kind of is, but it kind of isn't at the same time. And I think
he did the easiest shit.
Right.
If someone shows up to a D&D game in armor, they're a tryhard. Or they're going to a very specifically themed event.
But that's the thing is, though, because the easiest thing he could have done was just the ears. And, like, you sort of, it's weird. I was going to say something. Oh, it's just like, I don't know. Who's to say what line is being crossed? I think, quite frankly, everybody is entitled to responding to this how it affects them, right? Especially, I mean, I certainly can't speak for how black people respond to it. I'm white as a piece of paper. But, like, when it comes down to it, I can say, from a moral perspective, I vehemently disagree with the idea of removing something from streaming with zero intention, whether made public or otherwise, to bring it back. That's a problem. Like, this is something... These are moments where we're supposed to reflect on them, because in this episode it wasn't celebrated. It's not like a statue that It's not like a statue that deserves to be torn down, right? It's not like a celebration of something terrible. It is an invitation to a discussion that is, yes, offensive to a lot of people and controversial and all these things, but removing it does a disservice to everyone. Both offensive,
but also it's not blackface. I'm sorry. Also, it's just not to me, because he's not playing up stereotypical shit. He doesn't say his name is Jerome. He doesn't act like a black dude. He doesn't play the caricature of a black dude, which is what blackface comes with.
Well, I have a question for you then, because this kind of enters into that realm, and this is something that I've seen I haven't seen personally, but it's a discussion I've seen happening. There have been plenty of film shoots, right, where a black actor for a stunt double has a white person, and they put them in blackface. Now, this isn't a person that's doing a caricature of a black person. This isn't, and it is a little bit different in this circumstance, because in this circumstance, it's Chang, an established character, doing it. It's not a role being deprived from a black actor or a black professional. But in that circumstance, it is a role being taken away from a black stunt actor. And but like by that definition, though, because blackface isn't defined by its ability to take roles away from black people. That is a massive proponent of it, but that's not what makes it blackface. That's a result of blackface. In a circumstance where there is a white stunt double in blackface, how does that just, you know what I'm talking about? Like, this is a full philosophical discussion, because
I think at that point, if you're talking like stunt doubles that have like makeup to darken them so that the editing team knows where to make that guy black, because they didn't have a black stunt actor for that scene. Like, the logistics of like filming a scene I can't get into, because I've not done that with any logistical overhead. I've only done it myself with a few friends. Mm-hmm. But like lining up stunt actors that are the right size and the right shape and the right, all of those things to do something, maybe in like a few cases then they run into a situation where like, we got this guy, he's the same size as this guy, but they're not the same color. And so like we can make CG do all of the work of his skin color, or we can do some of it with practical effects so that later it doesn't suck ass both for us to do and for other people to see.
I just don't think that makes any sense at all. It saves more time anyway to hire a black stunt actor. And if you can't
objectively it doesn't though, right? That means going and finding the HR team to do paperwork, to hire that person, to have them there logistically on set for the days that you need. They still had to
hire someone in the first place. They hired someone, and they went through all the steps that it takes to hire someone. They just went, it's not worth it to put in the extra effort to hire a black performer. We're just going to find another workaround to make it easier for CG guys, which it doesn't register as okay in my head. And if you go, well, maybe they didn't have the budget. Fair point. If you don't have the budget, don't fucking do it. Like, there's an amount of respect that it needs. Like, when it comes down to it, this is my perspective on it. It's like, this is an issue that's been around for so long and affects so many people on a drastic level. of inequities of many kinds, and like trying to get into these industries that are, you know, shut doors, barriers, glass ceilings, right? It's like, it's not cool. Like and you know, like, and I can't speak for everybody because like I don't know everybody's experiences and perspectives on it. But as someone that also experiences in the theater and acting and film world, like when you cast someone that's not trans in a trans role and you just put makeup on it to make it easier on whatever, I go, like, my response is, fuck you. You're a piece of shit. Like, you didn't take it. It might have taken you a little bit of extra effort, but like, do the effort because we're fucking worth it, right? It's like, it feels so shitty. And I know it's not the same thing, you know, being trans and being black, and there are intersections. Black trans people are, by the way, black trans women are the, you know, they have the hardest job. They're murdered on a regular basis without any representation or, you know, discussions in media, and, you know, justice is not brought to them on a higher rate than any other demographic. But essentially, like, that's how I look at it. I go, at some level, we need to acknowledge that even when you can justify it for other reasons, there's still an impact that's broader, you know? And that doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. Like, I myself said this might be my favorite episode, right? And
sure,
that doesn't change with the fact that it comes with this. I think it almost adds a level of complexity to the episode to know that it asks an important question. I mean, but this also isn't even the only moment of a racial moment in it, right? We've got the potential for a racial moment. We're not totally sure of the song when Chang gets up. We've got...
Oh, that's absolutely not Asian.
It
sounds like Enya to me. Like someone trying to do Enya. Like, if anything, it sounds Gaelic.
It's a pastiche of Lord of the Rings songs. Yeah. And I would still stake money down on it being Elvish over Chinese. Now, Ken Jeong is not a Chinese actor. He's portraying a Chinese character. Which is its own
But even still, like,
deal.
In the episode, we've got the bumper, right? Where this is just a very straight with just the group of old Asian women who were in the study room. Just an interesting decision. I don't think that that's necessarily racially loaded. It's just kind of a confusing choice. But
it's,
then even
forgive me, it's surprising. Like, it's we can talk all day about whether or not, like, the reveal that a bunch of Asian people are in a room should be, like, surprising or should be itself a joke. I think the idea is that it's the complete opposite of the people that are normally in that room. You know, you don't expect a bunch of old Asian ladies.
Right, but there's still a racial comment that needs to be discussed in that, you know, and it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing, right? It's an interpretation is everything, impact and etc. and intent. These are all things that matter in the discussion. There is no clear-cut answer. It's not yes and no. We can hold competing ideas simultaneously, and that's okay. That should be expected. But then, like, even another example, at the end of it, we come to find out that the person whose voice we've been hearing narrating is presumably Latin or Hispanic janitor.
That it's like, woman. The white voice is coming out of this, like, very Kate Blanchett voice is coming out of this.
And it's like, and you look at it and you go, it's very clearly the punchline of that is predicated on some sort of racial expectation. So it's an idea that's played on it. I mean, even let's talk about the British subplot where we talk about, you know, species. I mean,
there are 5 species classes greater than I. I mean, the
territory,
the
and we talked about it.
Right. The reason that I have trouble applying an exact connotation between, you know, D&D's use of race traits, which are in depth, you know, like, oh, these races can see in the dark better, these people are naturally stronger. The reason I have trouble equating that to human beings is that when D&D uses the word race, and when we humans use the word race, we are discussing 2 different things. In the world of D&D, like, a dog is a race. They're not talking about the difference between, like, black people and white people. Sure. Skyrim is, but D&D specifically. I mean, I'm sorry, Skyrim. Like, you made red people good at one thing and black people good at a different thing. I'm sorry, you did do that.
Right, but then you also look at it through the lens of they could be using it as a metaphor, where it take 2 things that are not the same, but they
could, and it's certainly not the first time a fantasy world has
We
attempted
talked
to clumsily broach racial topics, but you see, the black people stand-in is goblins, and you're like, no, that's fucked up. Maybe don't do that one.
Nope, not that one.
Maybe not that one. Maybe not that one. Or fucking that YouTube anime Ruby, the black people stand-in is animal people. Maybe not that one. Maybe not that one.
For me, the way that I choose to look at these things, and this is, of course, my perspective, and I don't expect everybody to share this perspective. I don't think it's the only perspective. I don't think it's the correct perspective. But my perspective on this is the potential for these things are there, and they should be acknowledged as such. I don't think it is any of our job to tell someone whether or not they should or shouldn't be offended by something.
That's true.
Now,
I agree.
I wanted to say that it's a different discussion entirely to say, does someone have the right to offend? I personally say, yes, everybody has the right to offend. That line is drawn when it becomes an incitement of violence. But that's an altogether different conversation, So it's, I don't know. Literally, that's also part of the reason I love this episode, is it fosters such fascinating, in-depth conversations that are, look, these are difficult conversations. And, I mean, first of all, I'm so happy that we do this podcast with each other because we've fostered such an exciting and safe space to explore these ideas. I'm not going to say that I know myself impervious to fault. I know at some point it's possible for me to offend one of you two. But the idea that we've established a space where we're comfortable enough to say, hey, we understand intention enough to be able to have an adequate discussion of impact within ourselves is one thing. The fact that this is then published to a broader public is scary, but it comes from a place that we're having a real conversation, and real conversations aren't clean. They aren't easy to use your little plastic knife and fork and cut them into bite-sized bits and digest. This is tough work. This is the gristle of the steak, But that's so much flavor.
Yeah, this is the tough stuff. I mean, we are grappling with, and this episode, intentionally or no, we can talk about whether or not they were making a comment about Dungeons and Dragons, but these are ideas that Western European fantasy has needed to grapple with for a long time. And in many ways, there are many works that have grappled with these ideas, but it is definitely something that European and styled fantasy, and I don't know enough about other culture fantasies to be able to comment on them, but it's something that this is a conversation that's needed to happen for a long time, and it has been happening, and it's tough to arrive at a conclusion regarding any of these, but D&D is so directly Tolkien. It's so innately tied back, and Tolkien is not the only fucking fantasy author of even that era, certainly of all time, but that's obviously what we're pulling from. That is so clearly what we are pulling from here. And
even in the reference of, the tie to black people being tied to goblins and or orcs.
Which, again, we've had that discussion several times at this point. And, that is, we know Tolkien was a racist, whether or not he intentionally made orcs resemble black people, or whether or not he was, intentionally, quote-unquote, coding this, white equals purity narrative onto his fantasy. It's there. And when a racist writes a book, sometimes that book turns out a little racist, whether they meant it to or not.
If it's in the artist's language, it's going to show up in their work if they intend to or not,
If they believe it, your worldview is reflective in your fiction, whether you sat down and said, I'm going to write a book about how liberal ideas are good, or you're a liberal. It's going to show up in your work. Not Tolkien, using a broader example. It's unavoidable. It's just what you as an author bring to the table. It's what Gary Gygax brought to the table when he was developing Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons, and it's what every subsequent author has piled on top of it,
It's a good thing that H.P. Lovecraft didn't have any of these issues.
Yeah, y'all just never look up his cat's name. Don't do it.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I this for some reason this reminded me also of there's the joke. This is Hector the Well Endowed. He goes, I made that for Troy.
I bet you did.
I bet you did.
Which is, look, let's be blunt. that's a gay joke, you know? And like
it's a joke I feel
but it
about
works because it's told in the sense of it's a very, very religious Christian woman who has conflicting feelings about homosexuality, and the joke isn't that they're gay, it's the fact that she has a problem with them being gay.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say, is that the joke is on Shirley, whether or not she's being funny. It's
a similar concept to something I was talking about earlier, where it's like, even though that's not the punchline, it is the medium the joke is told through, and it's something that must be acknowledged.
I agree. Context is important. Broader cultural
You're like
context,
the context of people.
Oh my god, such a good line.
It's beautiful.
Such a good line. Kevin, let's not even joke. I know you're looking at the list right now.
Yeah. I'm in the end tags right now.
You're in the end tags right now?
Yeah, Gone Before Breakfast, Awesome Elevator. This one is not very high for me. Ears or Tail, we're looking in Dildopolis territory here at number 33, or Pencil Mouth, like, oh, that's amusing, but I'm not laughing.
I think it's better than Dildopolis.
Sure.
You think it's better than Dildopolis?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can go with that. Yeah, it's better than Dildopolis. Which one's Sleepy Troy? It's not as good as Pencil Mouth, but which one is Sleepy Troy?
Abed's reading the textbook to him to help him fall asleep.
Abed, can you have a glass of water?
Yeah, that one's really cute, so we're gonna put that up. Ears or Tail is the new. We're just blazing right through this.
Yeah, this end tag reminds me of that episode of The Office where they are delivering their own stuff for the Michael Scott Paper Company, but they have an old Korean church van. And so, like, when they stop to deliver paper, they get back in the van, and there's more and more Korean women in the back of the van.
It's funny.
At all.
It is funny. All right, and now to the episode rankings. It sounds like Jace and I are in pretty good agreement that this is very high. Caleb, I assume you are in there as well.
Yep.
For me, it would be number 2. Yeah, exactly. For me, it's number 2, but that's only because mixology certification is number 1. If y'all vote it to number 1, I won't fight you. It's undeniable.
I am kind of okay with... I'm actually going to say I defer to Caleb for this decision.
Ooh.
I know that these are going to be upset in like 3 weeks. So let's put it at number 1. Let's put it at number 1.
Yeah. I can't fight that. Oh,
no, number 2. Sorry, mixology certification is too good.
It's very good.
There's too many specific character development plots in that episode. Yeah. This one has a lot too. Fuck it, it's number 2. Just leave it there.
It's number 2. I mean, like,
it's hard.
It's still above fucking like Modern Warfare. You know how good of an episode you have to be above Modern Warfare? It almost doesn't matter whether you're number 1 or number 2. You beat Modern Warfare.
Right, exactly.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
Fun fact for everybody leaving the episode with us, the RNC tonight used videos that were, and stock footage of a factory in Moscow in the Ukraine, as if they were photos and videos from a factory in the United States.
I, for one, am simply shocked. This is my shocked face. Did y'all see those screenshots going around? I know they might be fabricated, I don't know, but of allegedly Republicans watching the RNC last night and going like, is anybody else weirded out by some of these speeches? Like, did y'all get any like 1940s Germany vibes from these speeches? And I was, and then someone posted that clip like, are we the baddies?
Oh no, have we made an oopsie?
Our hat have skulls on them. Are we the baddies?
All I can say is, booyah, booyah.
Booyah, booyah. Someone loudly screaming that they're trying to take our country away from us. That just sounds too familiar. Huh, where have I heard that before?
See, I hear what you're saying, but I am not seeing it.
They're trying to silence us, I said, as the most powerful political party in the land. Anyway, sorry, I mean, I'm not worried about losing our hardcore Republican contingent, because if they've lasted this long, they're with us forever. Like, if you've gone through this many, like, liberal rants, like, you're tough. I gotta admire you for sticking it out this long.
Yeah, like, if you're still here and you disagree with us, you like punishment.
I mean, like, good on ya, I guess.
I personally do not condone this discussion. I cannot say I even find it funny. I find it so stressful. But like,
I'm sorry, that we would have Republican listeners, or that we would be joking about like the Nazi Party taking over. I mean, like, all I'm going to say is that in the early 1940s, before we entered World War II, Dr. Seuss himself published a series of political cartoons of proud, snooty Americans ignoring other problems, waving around flags that say things like America First. No, and it appears that nothing has fucking changed.
No, we fully had, like, around, like, World War II and, like, after, and, like, in that whole... We had Nazi rallies in Madison Square Garden, okay?
Oh, yeah, dog. And they didn't go nowhere. That's the thing.
They weren't. That's the thing. People are always like, wow, it took America so long because they were remaining neutral in the face of extreme injustice. It wasn't because they remained neutral. It's because they were okay with it.
Right. It didn't matter until they came to us.
Did you know that America is the only country that's ever had the word dream attached to it?
What?
That was just something said by Tiffany Trump. I don't know who the fuck she is. But
the only
country with the word, like, the American dream. There's never been a German dream. There's no one that ever in Russia talks about the Russian dream. Like, we're the only country that's ever had that attached to it.
They're making that shit up. But also, if that's true, okay, all right, I guess. Okay, neat. We're the only country that's ever had freedom, and I think that's crazy.
Oh,
she continues. Hang on. She continues to say that if hearing that you chart your own life is something you like to hear people say, it's because whether you realize it or not, you're a Trump supporter. So many people on this planet need to just accidentally swallow glass.
Oh my god. That is the best thing I've heard all week.
I might make that a tweet in a few minutes. The daddy host with the heat.
With the heat.
I apologize for the severe ear trauma that laugh just inflicted on you.
Severe trauma in parentheses.
Oh, okay, Papa.
Time to go.
There it is. All right. Well, we gotta put Papa down for his nap. So let's.
You gotta put Papa down. Send tweet.
We gotta put Papa down. Sorry. So. This is the section we call plugs, where we talk about the random crap that we are doing. I've already mentioned a couple things, so I will go first here. First off, stick around after we segue away, because I have an interview with Sharai Bohannon on 6 Seasons and a Podcast. After we did our episode, they, as a black woman, did a follow-up episode, as like this was a voice that was not in the conversation, and they put in an hour there, and it was a really great discussion. So I had them on for the bonus interview at the end of the episode. Yeah, exactly. And
I got to meet. Sharai and I met, and then got to meet Yvette Nicole Brown. So
you son of a bitch.
Good people all around. Good people all around.
Yeah, good people. So stay tuned for that. It was a very fun conversation. Also, my massive Brita essay will now, as of you're listening to this, be available for reading. That is definitely on my Patreon, patreon.com/tvskevin, and probably also on my Substack. That's tvskevin.sub, S-U-B, stack, S-T-A-C-K.com. That's where I publish all my short stories, all my essays, and it goes right to your email inbox. Isn't that nice? And most likely to your spam folder. But follow the show at Greendale 3. Follow me at TV's Kevin Lanigan, and leave us that tasty 5-star review or the recommendation. Whatever podcast thing you're using has a way to say this is a good show, and I would appreciate it if you did that for us. Next.
That's how I feel. So I'm tempted to leave it at that.
I respect that choice.
I'm tempted to. I know. I will say this. So you can follow me at JACENZIEV. That's on Twitter or Instagram for your daily dose of radical queer content. then there's also, I mean, here's a fun one. Decolonize Myself. Check them out. They do really hard to swallow, important work for these discussions. But also, if you're looking for something a little bit more lighthearted that also has to do with discussions of representation, as a queer person, I am a member of this organization. I am a huge fan of the work that they're doing and what they're representing in the musical theater and theater world, specifically. Ring of Keys org. I don't know if I've given them a plug before, but if I have, then I'm doing it again. And if I haven't, you're hearing about them now. They are Ring of Keys org. They're a nonprofit organization that's an arts advocacy org that promotes the hiring of queer, women, and transgender nonconforming musical theater artists on stage and off. They're fabulous.
And it will make you want to go listen to the Fun Home soundtrack.
I mean, that's what it is a reference to, absolutely. But yeah, really
Norris Jones! Anyway.
Oh, yeah. So good. You know what? That's the plug. Listen to Fun Home.
Listen to Fun Home.
Bechtel, and read the graphic novel, too.
Absolutely. I'm changing my major to Joan.
Joan. Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to know where the Bechdel test came from, that was them. Caleb? Papa?
Oh, yeah. I don't got much. The police keep killing people, so fuck that shit. Or trying to kill people.
Yeah, damn.
Unbelievable to me that he... Anyway. Yeah. Fuck that noise to the end of the universe and back. So yeah, just keep supporting those bail funds and those all those things, because I had a very real conversation with my family this week about like how far does it have to get? And my uncle, who is a white man, was like, honestly, I bet it would take them killing a blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid for people to be like, oh, wait. And like, I don't have anything to combat that assertion. Like that's probably true, which really sucks. But people don't seem to be very happy about it, and they seem to be protesting still. So keep it up, keep them fires warm.
We will be back next week with a romantic episode and a documentary. But until then, pop, pop,
pop, pop, baby. Boo, do, boo, do, zuba, do, oh, zuba, dow, zuba, ba, ba, ba.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing is every single time you start singing it, humming it, whatever you want, scatting it. That sounds weird. I want to like be playing supplemental instruments with you. And every time I think that, I'm like, I can't, because they will stop and I will still be going, and I'll ruin the whole shtick.
So funny. No, I want that.
Okay.
Also, we're Skyping. It's not gonna line up properly.
It's not gonna line up. When it starts hearing one of us, it's gonna dip everybody else. It's gonna be great. Next week we'll try and do
next time, baby.
Give me some more time in a dream. Give me the hope to run out of steam. Somebody say it could be here. It could be rolled up, tied up, dead in a year. I can't count the reasons I should stay. One by one, they all just fade away.
Now, I actually watched Advanced Dungeons and Dragons before this because I hadn't seen it since May. Granted, that was the fourth time watching it this year, not all the other things in the live. But I went ahead and give Amazon that $2 just because I wanted to see it again because I can't see it. So now it's the best episode.
Right, now it's the forbidden episode. If they didn't want us to watch this episode, perhaps they have done the exact opposite of making that happen, because now it's like the fabled lost episode of Community.
Yeah, literally. Before they took it away, I never went directly to one episode. It was always like, well, this group of episodes or this season. But now it's like it's all I want. I just want it on repeat constantly. I want to just like bathe in it. I want to...
It's tantalizing. It's like I'm not supposed to have it.
Yeah.
Because who knows how long, this is the interview portion of Advanced Community Studies. We got to Community faster than we normally do, which is completely fine. My guest, it had to be my guest on this episode. This is Sharai Bohannon.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here.
Yes, welcome. For those of you that listened to our appearances on 6 seasons in a podcast. The Advanced Community Studies was part 1 of sort of the newfangled Advanced Dungeons and Dragons discussion, and then you, of course, followed us up with another excellent episode with a new perspective, and I said, well, we gotta bring this back to Advanced Community. We gotta continue this discussion, and now it is a dialogue.
I love that. I feel like it's what the episode deserves.
I agree. But right, like, all they've done, who knows how long this episode will be gone from Netflix and Hulu. Like, at this point, it's been, however many weeks, a couple months now, perhaps, since that episode was pulled.
Yeah.
By the time this goes up in a few weeks, it might even be 2 or 3 full months. And so far, despite, the fan community having their own personal discussions about it, we've seen or heard nothing from Netflix or Hulu about Advanced Dungeons & Dragons returning to their services. And now it's become like a bootleg. Now, like, we're going to have to pass around worn-out pirated copies of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Like, if another Communicon happens before this episode is added back to streaming, like, I am going to set up a bootleg booth, and I'm gonna fucking hand out copies of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Like, you have to. What they've done by taking it down is given it some more fodder for what the movie could entail and have. Because I don't foresee Dan Harmon sitting on this and not having to come back in the movie some way, somehow. With all of us out here jonesing for this episode we can't see anymore. So, yeah.
Absolutely. There should be 21 and a half minutes of the Community movie where the gang sits down and watches that episode of Community.
We just watch them react to it because we still can't see it because it's forbidden.
In full. We put, like, a Mystery Science Theater, like, their silhouettes at the bottom of the episode, and then just let Advanced Dungeons & Dragons play full screen for 21 and a half minutes.
I would love that. I'm not going to lie. I would see it 3 times in theaters. Yeah. The first one.
Absolutely. Should it, if and we all assume at this point that the Community movie is going to be a Netflix original. Like, I think that's what we're all operating under the impression of. And so if they give the Community movie the Marriage Story treatment, or if it's one of their picks that they ordain to place in theaters, I will be there every single week of its release here in New York City. Like, I will go back and go back. I need to trick Netflix into thinking that it is more popular than it is.
I mean, they found out how popular it was, which is part of the reason I think they targeted this show specifically for this episode. What I would like is for them to find a way to resurrect Yahoo Screen just for this movie. Just to be, like, produced by Yahoo Screen. And we're like, wait, what?
Just bring it back. I mean, if they... the Community movie has to have a big, like, toss-off reference or even, like, a plot line about how, like, the study group doomed the last, like, thing that it was a part of, that it sank the ship that it was on, say. If you want to call it, like, the SS Yahoo or something like that, and that ship sinks while they're on it, they now have to do something about, like, this disappearing. Abed will say, like, in our Dungeons & Dragons game, which there's no evidence that ever happened, I can't see, because everyone has been, almost all of the cast and crew has been so quiet about this episode disappearing from streaming.
It's really weird.
There must be a gag order or a hush order from Sony, right? It's the only explanation I can think of.
I think that, or it was just because there's so much happening right now. Who wants to be that person to be like, but my art? And so I could see them being like, it's not the time, but also, like, if that's what it is, there will be a time very soon, in theory. And then we'll all mobilize like we did to keep them on the air for 6 seasons.
Should things quiet down again, we will then have the energy to feel comfortable fighting for like a Community episode to come back, or like keep campaigning for the movie.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we're all a little busy. We're all a little taxed. We're all a little taxed with some other stuff that's happening. Hopefully Dan has taken the last 5 months to, like, get a script cooking. You know, really, like, make sure that we can land, hit the ground running, as they say.
Yes. I would love to see what Dan Harmon has come up with all of this COVID time. Because I saw what he would come up with when he didn't have all these months of nothing. And so I'm very intrigued and excited.
I just don't even know what they're going to do, but I await whatever it is that they end up doing. Whatever they end up doing is fine with me.
Even if it's just them sitting in the study room for a giant bottle episode that we call a movie, I'm in.
Do it. Film the movie for $37. Mm-hmm. You can film it in like a few days, you know. Set a land speed record for like least number of production days, like get in under Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein, or whatever like the shortest movie shoot date is, and then just push it on out. I think that is the correct thing to do.
I mean, it really is. The prophecy was 6 seasons in a movie, not 6 seasons in how we're gonna do the movie. So, like...
it just matters that it happened.
Yeah. Like, movie's a loose term. Like, so, yeah.
Movie's indefinable. A movie can be whatever we want it to be. It would feel weird if the Community movie had, like, a budget. It would feel against... No, go ahead.
Because they never had a budget, and they talk about it a lot. They were just sort of like NBC's unwanted show. That right. Die. And so,
and you can watch as the seasons go on, they go outside less and less and less because they couldn't afford to shoot outside. Yeah. So it would be so strange if the Community movie was like a $50 million movie. It would feel against the energy that the show always had.
Literally, it would be a different situation. It would not be our Community. And I kind of, as much as it probably sucked to be on a show that NBC would give no money to and then misspell things when they advertised, for me, it was like, I went to community college. We didn't have money. I relate. And so I wouldn't want them to get money, as sad as that is for me to wish that on something I love. I want them to stay where I'm at.
Right. I mean, I want the actors and the crew and Dan to, like, make a decent paycheck. It seems like pretty much everyone is doing fine, but a lot of these folks have kids. Like, I want to make sure that the people that I love the work of so much are, like, taken care of, but this cannot be a $100 million movie affair. This needs to be as scrappy and by the seat of its pants as the show always was.
Exactly. That's part of the fun of Community, is that it was, you have to be creative when you have no money. And so if you come out with a summer blockbuster budget, then it's just like, well, Will Smith just flew in, but why?
Right, exactly. Right, if you get to, like, say Anchorman 2, and, like, your final fight has, like, Harrison Ford, Kanye West, Jim Carrey, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, it's like, what? I'm just watching, like, you burn a pile of money right before my eyes.
It's insulting. It literally is insulting to be like, oh, this is where all this money went. That's cute.
That's cute. So you could film loose improv in a 2-camera setup, you know?
Yeah, you just went to hang out with people. That's all. You didn't really have an idea.
Yeah, not to just relentlessly drag Anchorman 2, the Jim Belushi of movie sequels.
I love that Jim Belushi is a running theme. Every time I rewatch this series, I'm just like, there's another Jim Belushi.
I wonder, has anyone tallied? Does, like, the Community wiki have a full list of Jim Belushi dunks? I am finding out presently.
If they don't, that's my new weekend project this week.
It's to watch all of Community and log every single Jim Belushi Yeah, so far it just came up with like a page called Running Gags. So I'm gonna need all of us to really get on this train and get the official tally of Jim Belushi jokes.
Let's all take a season and just do it.
Right. We'll divide it up. Maybe we'll take the long seasons. We'll cut them in half. And then we only need 9 people to watch half a season of Community, which, let's be honest, some of us were going to do anyway.
Yeah.
And just log we all sit around a table and make a notch for every Jim Belushi reference.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. So great. So let me ask you some of the standard questions that I ask to guests. How did you come to Community? What is your Community origin story?
So when it first premiered, I was even bigger into TV than I am now. I've always been that nerd, So I saw it was coming out. I saw the description. I saw Joe McHale was finally acting as opposed to hosting something, which is what I knew him as. And I was house sitting at my friend's house, and they have I think back then it was DVR. So I would just set it to record that when I would go house sit every couple of weeks and just catch up on Community. And it was at a time when I was in a community college, and my friends were also a little bit eccentric and selfish. And so it felt like home in a lot of ways.
Your Mount Rushmore of episodes or some of your favorite characters, I just want to get a feel for where you're at in Community.
It's really, really hard. I would say, because I can't rank episodes. I love so many of them for so many different reasons, because they give so many different characters a moment to shine here or there, especially the background characters like Leonard and Neil. And so I would say my favorite season has to be between 2 and 3, and that's as close as I can get to being favorite. And it's not because
that's fine. I understand.
It's so hard. It's such a good show. Aside from season 4, I would argue it was the best season of TV whenever those seasons aired. Even the Yahoo season, which some people have very different opinions about.
I love it. I am a huge season 6 lover. My rankings change all the time, but I think my top 3 are 2, 3, 6.
That's solid.
Because 2 is unassailable. We're going through 2 right now on the show, obviously because you're on the Dungeons & Dragons episode. And 2 is unassailable. Even the worst episodes of Season 2 are still very funny, or creative, or weird. and I say weird in a very genuine way. The Secret Trampoline episode is not one of the great episodes of television, but it's one of the weirdest things to have ever happened on TV. It's so bizarre that they got away with that.
It's so bizarre, and I feel like if they were going to pull an episode, it would have been that one, which is also confusing.
Which features a swastika.
Right? I love that episode because it's definitely one of those moments where you're like, oh, he was racist, which I feel like I've had that moment so many times after a moment where I'm like, that was weird. And then later I'm like, oh God, that was a racist. We had a racist in the house. How did this happen? And so I love that episode. And I'm surprised that whoever made this call wasn't we should look at this one before the Dungeons & Dragons episode.
Right. Didn't look at that one. Didn't look at the one where Chevy Chase is quite literally in brownface. Didn't look at that one.
Literally.
Did not, there are, and we've litigated this to death, I'm sure, earlier in this very episode and on the Six Seasons podcast in a bonus episode of our own, but there are more offensive episodes of Community.
There are.
There are episodes of Community where they bandy around the T slur, just constantly,
Yeah. Oh my God. I can think of so many more episodes where I would be like, that's a conversation about should we maybe put up a warning or talk about this one. I would not have gone to this one. This one has so much nuance and there's so much beauty in this story. Like I said, I watched it right before we did this. because I went ahead and paid those $2 because I needed it now that it's been taken away. And it's really beautiful. And it's still in a time where all of them are still straddling that sort of realistic, but also about to get away from us point in their timelines. Because, like, Britta's still a person here. Like, it's across the table. Everybody's on. Everybody is who they have been and who they will be to an extent. And we get to see Jeff go, oh, no, I messed up. I fucked up. I got to fix this. I don't want to be this person anymore. And it's just, I don't know. There's so many reasons to not pull that. And if you have an issue with it, by all means, everybody's entitled to be offended by anything that's offensive. And we could have put up a warning or had a conversation or I don't know. Like, HBO has this show called I May Destroy You, which is glorious but heavy. And at the end, they put up a list of resources so people who might be, like, triggered or anything can, like, seek help. Hotlines, therapists, you name it. And so why couldn't we do something of that nature for this to a lesser scale? Because clearly this is a different issue. And so, yeah.
Yeah, there's that. There's all of the, like... I've never seen a show cover depression and mental health like Advanced Dungeons & Dragons does for Neil. It's just such a, like, tender portrayal for a character who, like... most people still refer to as Fat Neil. Yeah. Like, it's such a strong, and like the benefits that you can have when you are suffering from mental health issues, when you are a part of forgive me, but a part of a community, and how much like other people's affection or even like the small moments mean so much to someone who's suffering through mental health issues. And now that's just gone. Like, no Looney Tunes precursor card that says, like, this is offensive. Like, no, it's just gone.
No, and it's... Another thing I really love about this episode, and it hit me today differently than it ever has, because we're 5 months into this pandemic and everybody wants to be online and awful, is that it's also an exercise in empathy for so many people. Because not only are they reaching out to Neil, but when Neil is like, oh, Pierce is worse off, I pity. They all give Pierce this pity that they never really give him when they write him off or they try and avoid him, aside from Annie usually. And so, like, I love that. I love that story, and that we can see a monster and also understand that perhaps this monster also needs some of the empathy we're giving the person we feel bad about too. That's how
right.
The person we feel bad for.
Right. And it's, I don't know, it has all these complex relationships, and it's just gone. Like, we didn't even, like, cut that joke. Like, it's just gone, and who knows if it will ever come back. It's completely wild. It's absolutely wild.
It is. It's kind of weird and sort of just insulting to assume that people can't process this episode for what it is, which is a smarter episode than Netflix and Hulu seem to be giving it credit for. Because it's like we've all said at one point or another in all of these different podcasts, it's not blackface. It's literally him putting on this elf makeup to mock Dungeons and Dragons, which is something I've gotten into late in life and I love, but also I went into it knowing it was not for me specifically. I was not thought of. Nobody who looks like me is welcomed into this world. And so to see them sort of make fun of it for what it is, which is definitely created by like nerdy Jeff Winger types, if there's ever a hybrid of that, to sort of punch down on people. And we just took it away instead of having that, like, celebrating its nuance and complexity. And I don't like that. That's a weird form of censorship that I can't be on board with.
Right. And it's, I know it gets litigated to death, but it just feels like in the current internet space, there's so little room for nuance. And that is not me defending like all of these people that have justifiably been like ridiculed in online spaces. Like I don't want to come off the wrong way as like defending the wrong people, but I think media literacy is maybe something that we should actually teach in schools and not just higher education for one specific degree, because we consume so much movies and TV and music and books and plays, and we teach so few faculties for anyone that is not a dumb media nerd to digest these things that are constantly entering our synapses.
Yes.
And it feels really important to like teach people the ability to unpack and decode what they are watching.
Exactly. Like I took a training today because I work at a school, and like the images they showed from like the 50s and before, those were definitely aimed at being offensive and racist. And so of course those are still offensive and racist today. Whereas this episode of Community and other things sort of in that same gray area were not made to punch down. They were made to start a conversation about something else. And we need those conversations. It's why we can't have the nuance that you're talking about, like on social media, because that's where we all live right now. It's always all or nothing. There's never any, but what about this or what about that? Like I have friends who are sharing their personal experiences and how they have to vote for a candidate that is definitely going to harm them a little bit, just not as much as another candidate. And people are just like, well, how dare you start this? And it's like, this is this person's experience. This is this person saying, I have to do this thing, but I really don't want to. So can we acknowledge that I'm going to suffer a little bit, even though I have to do the thing because it's the better option?
Don't I, as the voting body who these people allegedly serve, like, don't I reserve the right to criticize them even though they definitely have my vote because the other option is worse? But does that not preclude me? I'm not saying don't vote for them, but we should be aware of the histories and the policies that have been put in place by the people we're about to try and vote in for president.
Exactly, because if we have these conversations and dialogues now, maybe one day, not in my lifetime, of course, but maybe one day in someone else's, we can have candidates who somebody is 100% behind. Wouldn't that be cool? If somebody could be like, I agree with everything so-and-so is saying, and they will not hurt me in any way, shape, or form.
Right, and like, maybe, you know, it is perhaps a pipe dream for me to believe that one day I will 100% align with someone, but can I get to like 85? Like, can we get
Right?
that needle to like a little closer than it is?
Exactly. Especially because oftentimes when we vote for a candidate who we have such mixed feelings about, it means that people who have less privilege than us are going to be hurt by them even more, which is another conversation America just does not want right now. And so it's very much like, how dare you point out that I might have more privilege than you? And it's like, well, it's true. Like, I don't think I have privilege, but also I'm like a Black woman who identifies as fat. So, of course, it's, like, mind-blowing when I find somebody who has less privilege than I do, and I'm like, oh, no, I forgot. I'm so sorry. How can I help?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, you know, I appreciate us diving into these. That is one of the things about Community that I've found over and over, is that it is a gateway into pretty much any topic you could want to have a conversation about.
Which is
it's
why
all
it's
in
the show.
Right. Any piece of pop culture at all, or any, and therefore any facet of culture, because pop culture is culture, like, it's all less than 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon. Like, it's all right in the Greendale sphere. You just have to have the right jumping springboard up.
Exactly.
So now is the time. We got to it very quickly, but now is the time where you can plug your social media, any projects you're working on, and let the people know where to continue the conversation.
Oh, awesome. So I'm most easily accessible on Twitter, as we all know. I'm at Miss Sharai, MISSSHARAI. It's a weird name, I know. And there I'm usually tweeting about something having to do with media, usually lots of TV, lots of film. I just started a podcast with a friend called A Nightmare on Fear Street, where we look at horror movies because we grew up with them and we love them, but they don't love us. Me as a Black woman who identifies as fat, and him as a gay man in America, we're not usually treated well. And so that podcast just started earlier this month. We have like 3 episodes up, and a 4th was supposed to happen today and will happen maybe tomorrow. And it's just
These things happen.
Down. It's so hard sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm primarily a playwright, and my stuff is on New Play Exchange for people who like new plays and have those accounts.
So thank you for stopping by, for rounding out our trilogy of discussion on this particular episode of Community. And everyone should go follow your shit right now.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. This is amazing.
This has been a Talkback Podcast.
That was quite a show.